Welcome back, everyone. You remember Rob's 1972 Super Beetle. Yep, the Super Volksrod that was hit in front of his house by some idiot that was probably drunk or texting. Still no leads on who caused the wreck, as all his neighbors were within eyeshot had dead batteries in all their cameras. Let it be known that you shouldn't run your cameras on batteries just for that reason. My cameras do have batteries, but only for backup when the main power should go out. I never miss a single thing. Let this be a little free advice from a professional IT guy to those of you that are security-minded and like to keep an eye on things. So after the crash on Rob's Beetle that twisted up the rear suspension and left some scarring to the body, it was discovered that the rear engine and transaxle mounts were torn. The engine was hit slightly and it does reflect a little bit of impact damage externally, but it is possible that the rotten old transmission mounts acted like a fusible link, preventing much bigger damage to the engine, allowing it to be tossed to one side. Nonetheless, the mounts need to be replaced to make this thing a proper driver again. Hot battery. Hot battery must disconnect. We don't need the engine sloshing around in the back and breaking off the front transaxle mount, which is currently in good shape. That could lead to breaking off the nose cone and the whole engine and transmission will try to come out, hanging in there only by its axles, control cables, fuel line, and wiring. Not exactly the most supportive component, but that would be great to catch on video, but it's not something I want to have happen on one of the cars that I make. Well, it's a matter of removing the engine, and you just watch me do that. On this car, I can do it in under a minute. On a full-body Beetle, however, it would take quite a bit longer, as there are a lot more things that need to be considered. However, this one is quite easy. So please licky, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back right after that intro. Thanks for watching. Alright, well there we are. You can see those mounts down below, and they are certainly tearing apart. I'm just having a break over here. Figured after 15 seconds of work, it was mighty nice to have myself a little something for me. Anyway, we're gonna slap those mounts on in there. This is not hard to do, you guys. I mean, the hardest thing is pulling out the engine. Even that wasn't hard. I mean, I just showed it happening in, what, 15 seconds, right? Alright, well, we'll change those mounts out. The front nose cone mount is actually fine. I got a good look at that one up close. I've tried flexing it every which way, and it seems to be just fine, so we're just gonna leave that one be. So we'll just get these two replaced. They weren't even expensive. I think they ran about a whole, it was less than $20. It's probably even closer to 10. But nonetheless, they're going on right now, after I have a little more of my beverage. Exceptionally noisy in the neighborhood today, man. I'm hearing a lot of train horns, too, something we don't usually hear too often. Anyway, these mounts are pretty simple to replace. If I could just get them out of the package, right? They're exactly the same. One goes in here, the other one goes in there. Everything comes apart with just a 13mm wrench. You're probably going to want two of them because you got to hit the nut and the bolt on opposite sides. I do have my trusty DeWalt Impact with me, so this is going to make short work of things. When you do tighten these, you don't want to make them too tight because you could spin the set studs in the rubber right out of them. I've seen that happen on junky ones before, but never on a good set. It's tough to say what's good and what's bad anymore. You won't know until after you install it and start using it. But get this all out of here. There we go. Okay. Alright. I'm even hearing one of the businesses' building alarms going off in the distance. Noisy neighborhood today. Yeah, people watching my videos always think that I'm the one making all the noise in the neighborhood and that my neighbors are always disturbed, but the truth is, everybody makes a ton more noise than I do. I'm just a drop in the bucket. Wow, can I even get on that one? Yeah, okay, we're on there. Boom. There we go. I got one more over here. Right there. Oh, my nut is still in there. Get the nut out. I said get the nut out. Alright. Now these can be a little tricky to get in and out of here, especially if they're still solid. The fact that these are all busted up isn't too bad. You can get under here with a crowbar, and you can gently lift and just pull the sucker out like that. You also have to pull the mount out. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. You can, if you have a strong thumb, just lift up on the transmission in the middle, the bell housing there. Otherwise, this way works just fine. Get off of there. There you go. The bolt out. Watch your fingers, of course, because they will pinch you. And we'll put the new ones in place. I've always found that it's best to get them seated in the transmission first before you even think about putting in the lower bolts, because you'll wind up in a situation where, because these are all on an angle, that if you bolt them into the transmission, what do they call that, mount, this cradle, if you bolt them into the cradle first, you can't drop the transmission down on them because they're not straight. They're on this goofy angle. And it doesn't mean you can't. You can, and I have. It just sucks. So I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. When I had this one up in the air, I should have been smart enough to slip the new piece in there. Why can't I get in there? Come on, you bastard. Come on, you guy. Alright, like I said, I should have put it in here before I got started. Now you're watching the Duckman in a little bit of a conundrum. I've got to go up higher than that. There we go. Not quite. Well, son of a goat bitch. There it goes. Again, not impossible, but it can be a little tricky. Now sometimes, and that's what I'm experiencing on here, these pads are completely encased in rubber. And what that means is the little bolt holes sometimes have all kinds of rubber in them as well. You might have a little trouble getting the bolts through the holes. Like most things Volkswagen, you do not tighten down these bolts until you have all of the bolts in position. The reason why I tell you this is because you will discover very, very quickly how nothing will line up once you tighten down even one bolt. Everything needs to have that little bit of sloppy play. Are you guys fighting? Chickens are fighting. They're already establishing pecking order. Gotta love the little babies. Okay. Now what I did not do, did not put the washers on the right sides here. Start putting our washers on here. And then finally we nut all over everything. I'm sure there's a torque spec on these guys, but these are those things that you just snug them up enough. This is all rubber mounted stuff, you just don't want to damage the rubber. Okay, ready to start snugging. I like to start with the underside ones first. Probably doesn't matter, but that's just me. Go. One up here. Very nice. These are only 13mm bolts, or heads I should say, 13mm nuts. This impactor will destroy them. Duckman, did you know that an impact can just strip out all your nuts and bolts? But in a nutshell, that's all there was to it. Throwout bearing in here looks good. Yeah, it still spins smoothly, no nonsense. I'm going to put just a little bit of grease, just a dab of it on the splines on the input shaft there. And we're going to stick the engine back in. Everything else looks okay. Alright, let me get out of this little hole here. There's been a lot of drone activity in the neighborhood lately. I don't know who's flying it around, but whenever they see me come walking out, they usually either fly towards me or take off. This time I acted threatening and swung a 2x4 around as it came close, and it turned around and went away. Anyway, sometimes it'll just, and it's not even the same one, we'll just rock it right down the street. You know, at about 30 miles an hour. But anyway, they're probably just playing with it, but who knows, maybe somebody's watching us. Got my little chickens helping me out. Good old Icebox and Frosty. Right, guys? Yeah. And Boomer, of course, is helping. Usually just kind of gets in the way because he's a dick. Why gotta be such a dick, Boomer? Huh? Why come over here and mess with me? Just want to be roughed up a little bit. Rough me up, Daddy. Rough me up. Beat me up a little bit, Daddy. I like to be beaten up. Alright, one of the first things we want to do is get the throttle cable out of the way. Otherwise, that throttle cable might get stuck between the bell housing and the engine when you bolt it in. Ask me how I know. Okay. Let's get this engine pushed into place here. Here it is, it should go straight in. It's gotta go up just a little bit, which tells me that my jack was sagging. You hate it when your jack starts sagging? I had the engine just a little too high. Yep, there it goes. Now she's in. Fantastic. Let's get some bolts in there. We're gonna go with the hardest bolt first. This is the one that a lot of mechanics often leave out just because it's so hard to get to. Not only can I get to it, but I hit it with an impact. So essentially, this stand can now come out. This one under here can be a real dick. This is the D-headed bolt that's on the starter. Sometimes you need somebody to push on the bolt from the backside to keep it in position, because the D locks itself up against the starter so it doesn't spin. I'm usually pretty successful about doing this with one hand without help. Well, so much for that. Being that this is all Volksrodded, or Baha'd even, if you will, because the whole back end is missing from this car here. Wait a minute, why is this bolt spinning around? Must have an unusual starter on it, because the D head is spinning. It's not supposed to do that. Hell, as long as it locks up and holds the engine, I guess that's all that matters. I got it that time. Alright. Been cool the last couple days. Today it's starting to warm back up again. Summer is not over yet. And that's what Florida's doing, is reminding me. There it is. Alright. 117mm wrench. Yeah, it feels like the D did lock itself up against something, because I am able to tighten this. Alright, good. 2 more nuts on the bottom, and the engine's effectively hung. Hung on a D-shaped bolt. These 2 on the underside, I'm not even going to show you. I don't have the car jacked up, and it's not easy to get a camera under there. So I'm just going to go ahead and wind them on, but they'll be done in just a minute. Throttle. The proper way to do this is to get up front and to step on the gas pedal, or put a brick on it and hold it to the floor. And then what you do is you open the carburetor to its maximum position. Then you bolt this tight. What that does is it stops your cable from being overly tight, and it makes it less likely to snap from being abused. What's going on here? Something weird going on here. I might have to change out this holdfast. It feels like the threads are screwed up. Duckman, you did it with the impact. Don't you know that? No, I don't think that one's me. I claim the credit on that, but that's I don't think that's me. It may not even be the right bolt. Usually this is an 8mm, and this one is a 10. Alright, well, we'll fix that. Yeah, this throttle holdfast just doesn't look right. Looks like it's a piece of copper. It's got an Allen key end over here. It looks like somebody drilled a hole through it. This is wrong. This is what they typically look like, either with a flathead screw or an 8mm bolt. And that's all there is to it. Real simple stuff. And then it just goes screwed into here. Slide it through the hole in the carburetor. Ow! That hurt. Yeah, that's pretty, huh? Guess I have to clean that one up. Alright, distributor can go back together. Well, in a second. Here's why we're not going to put the distributor back together yet. Because there's a fuel line that needs to come up and over here. Got routed behind all this stuff. Put it in where it belongs. Good. Alright. Order goes on there. Yeah, the distributor is turning because we were messing with the timing the other day. We're going to set it properly once and for all this time around. Alright, we got fuel line, we got throttle cable, we need to hook up our electrical. Alright. Got our ground wire first that goes down on the alternator here. I should be using a longer screwdriver for this. Gonna get looped around that screw. I'm sure it had a connector on it once upon a time, but it doesn't anymore. Good. We have our tickler. And we have our B+, main voltage out. It's also main voltage in, because the alternator does need to be tickled in order to produce. Okay, snug this back up. I need to go to overkill on that one, a little bit more. There we go. Alright, and then over here was a choke wire, which I detached and didn't even need to. It's part of its own separate engine harness. Alright, over on this side we have our positive that goes to the coil. And we have our oil pressure light switch right here. And that should be everything. At this point, it should start up. Let's find out. Oh yeah, you gotta reconnect the battery too. I almost forgot that. Alright, here we go. We're going to make a couple adjustments on it, but otherwise it's back together, and it's now tight, no longer coming apart. Engine mounts are good. Alright, a little added bonus today. Got the seats pushed forwards. There's our shifter up there, and the reason why we're looking back here is because Rob was complaining he's having a little trouble finding gears. And if you look closely there, you can see that there's an awful lot of slop in that shifter coupler. So we're gonna swap that sucker out. It does not feel like the bushing up front is shot. It actually just feels like this thing is just not going into position. And it doesn't take much. If that's just out of whack just a little bit, you end up with some issues. So I should have some new pucks to go on either side of that. I probably don't even have to change the cage out on it. And we'll get this thing fixed up and replaced. And there it is. So before I even got started, I noticed the grub screw is loose. In fact, look, it just came out. It wasn't even tight. I mean, not even a little tight. That could certainly affect our left to right, which is what he was complaining about more than anything else, was finding between the rows, the forward to back rows. So let's snug that up and just see if that makes a difference. It might. There's no doubt about it. Because there's your first, second, third, fourth, and then up and over this way, here's reverse. So that was certainly the problem, was that bolt was loose. I still don't like how loose those rubber gogies are on the side there, so we're going to replace those, what I was calling pucks. Anyway, I just got to go find a set in the garage. I know I've got them, though. Alright, there it is out. And you can see it's got just an excessive amount of play. Yeah, it's kind of wallowed out and the rubber shrunk up, so anyway. This needs to be replaced. The cage is probably an OEM one. I'll keep it if I can, but sometimes the replacement pucks don't fit in there right, so you have to replace the whole cage too. But anyway, let's go ahead and start swapping some stuff out. Alright, got that all bolted in there. I used the urethane puck style one. This is actually a brand new piece. I had it hanging on the wall. Took me a little while to find it, but it did. Now we're just safety wiring in that grub screw. And I think the reason why it might have come loose is either because the guy was an idiot to put it in, or maybe he just didn't put that piece of safety wire on it. There it is. Sorry I kind of flaked off on the video there, but yep, a little piece of safety wire on. Everything's nice and solid now. And all the gears are easy to find. It actually feels solid now. It's amazing. It still looks like there's play in it though, but not like it was. The shifter actually feels solid now. You can hear it. It thunks. All right, we're gonna call that good. I'll take it for a ride in just a minute, but I think that's gonna be all right. All right, we're out and about. It's hard to run a camera with a left hand while trying to drive stick with the right, but so far so good. First to second was no issue. There's third. So far so good. I mean, that's an improvement, because this thing was a little tricky to put it in from between first and second to third and fourth. If you were in one of those rows, you couldn't get back to the other row. Engine's still a little cold. This thing is just naturally cold-blooded. Once it warms up, runs great though. A little bit of a pull to the left since we put the suspension on, so obviously my alignment's no good. Yep, it's in first. At least it felt like it. Yep, that's first. That was one of the problems we had. And if you remember from my last test drive, that was part of the problem I had. I couldn't get in first when I was at the stop sign. Yeah, it is popping in between shifting gears. There's an exhaust leak, you can hear it. And it pops naturally because it's getting a little air in there, so all the unburned gases are, you know, flaring off. Now shift to second. That's not second. I ended up in a magic neutral. That's second. That was weird. It felt like it went into a gear, but there was no gear there. I've never experienced it on a Volkswagen anywhere. I wonder if that was a problem in the transmission or in the shifter. Full buzz. Good, he didn't turn his lights on. I wasn't looking forward to that. The kids here in this town, I don't know, where I come from, when it's time to get the hell off the bus, you get the hell off the bus as fast as you can. When you get on the bus in the morning, you kind of drag your ass. I get it, you don't want to go to school. But when you get off the bus, you hurry. I'm done with school for the day. You know, fuck you guys, I'm out of here. Well, the kids around here don't. They lollygag getting off the bus, and they drag their feet. And sometimes a bus stop can take 5 to 10 minutes. In fact, I see one up ahead. Oh good, he turned also. But the school should be letting out over here, so I probably turn down one of the side streets. I don't want to have to deal with buses and crap. Really don't. Go this way. That was the door. It wasn't latched all the way. Here we go, right in the second. Was it second? Yeah, I guess that's second. Chugging along to second. I'm probably going way too slow for second, but... Brakes feel a lot better since I added that valve. Yep, there's first. Anyway, I think the shifter problems all went away. I guess it was all in the bushing. You couldn't find first at all most of the time. And you couldn't go between those rows of gears. So here we are in first again. Yep. To invest in a 034 single vacuum dual advanced distributor. It says 009 it's on here, just blows. Oh man, it blows. Well, I'm going to call this a win. This thing is running and driving very well. Better than when Rob even got it the last time. So I guess that's it for now. Licky, like it, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to plug the dingle belly so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out Duck Shit down there for all my different social media links. And we'll see you guys next time. And hopefully I have my lawn cut. It's growing again.